Hello, a very warm welcome back to our coverage of the eRacing GP. We are on season 4, race number 2 already. The season is racing away. Today we're at the Dubai Autodrome, and we've got 2 big races coming your way in about an hour's time, or an hour and a quarter time. We're going with the gold class, the top boys. Firstly, though, we've got the near top boys, the silver class. It's the brainchild of Alex Young, and Alex in the silver class. The first race of the season, I think, has already shown us who's likely to be there or thereabouts at the end of the season.
Yeah, so it's a 40-minute race, unlike Bronze and Copper, which were 2 50-minute sprint races. Harris Zephy, yeah, we've seen what a good driver he can be. He didn't win silver last year, he finished 3rd, but he dominated round 1. It's going to be interesting to see who can take the fight, who can raise their level to try and compete with Harris today.
Okay, let's just have a look at some of the graphics. We've got a graphic of who the top 3 are right now. Harris Zephy is the man who is in the lead. 34 points he picked up. That's a maximum points. 5 points for qualification, 4 points for fastest lap, just 25 points for the win. It's already given him a 14-point advantage over Philippines' Voltaire Seiko and Mohammed Khalif. They're the top 3. If we go on to the full ratings, the full standings, you can see that there's some fairly good names in there. We've got Tony Fok from Hong Kong, Mark Darwin and Jun Cheng Ung from Malaysia, Reynaldi Edokataran. I remember he did so well in the endurance race before the start of the season. And of course, those old familiar names, Wei Xiong and Leon Leo Leung from Hong Kong. But it's not just about the individuals. You've also got a Nations Cup ongoing. And after one round of races in all of the categories, copper, bronze, silver and gold, Malaysia picked up 443 points to lead Philippines and Singapore. Australia, Vietnam and Indonesia haven't had as many competitors in the races, but it's a really good start for Malaysia, who are leading in the Nations Cup. And there's a Team Cup as well, where Sim Racing Filipinas won 79 points of those Philippines points. That's about all of them. Stratos Motorsports 42, Tedco X Project 41, Team Racing Line and Blue Steel Racing and the Laughing Bunny all above 30, as are MOFO Bros. So Nations Cup, Team Cup, individual championships, we'll be keeping an eye on all of them over the next 2 hours or so. But on to the racing itself, Alex, and we are straight into the silver class. And let's really just have a little look at practicing. We've got 10 minutes left in practice. That's pretty good. It gives us a chance to maybe just have a look at the form guide of some of those who might come in and maybe challenge Harris Zephy up front. And one of them is Tony Fok, who has won races, but at the level below. He won at the bronze level last season. This time he's stepping up at last. Good enough to actually go on and pick up a lot of points?
Yeah, I think so. The Hong Kong driver has been very quick. And actually, I think he should have won a couple more races than he already has. He just, sometimes in the middle of the race, maybe makes some key decision-making processes is a bit wrong, and it gets involved in some incidents he shouldn't get involved, and then gets pushed to the back of the field, so as he spins off there. But he's definitely quick enough to win in this category.
Okay, so we had a look there. Now, somebody who's put in quick times, Justin Hung is a new name, the BMW, but you just look at those times, man, is 1.6 out. Mark Darwin was also up at the top as well. Malaysian-based, he's in the BMW.
Yeah.
Looking quick.
Mark was spectacular for me, because he's a real-life driver. He's one of the, if not arguably the best front-wheel drive touring car drivers we have here. Always wins in the national championships. But round 1 was his first sim race. And what was it? He qualified 2nd, I think. I think in the race he dropped back to 5th.
Correct.
Didn't quite maximize his pit stops and stuff. Well, that's just experience, It's his first sim race, and he did a really good job. It wasn't just the pace that impressed me, it was his racing. Because when the real-life drivers come to this sim world, often they just they get their the depth perception wrong, and they just run into people, especially in the first corner, the first lap. Mark was very clever, didn't hit anyone, and just kept his nose clean. So yeah, I think he's going to be very impressive, and he's just going to keep getting better and better as we get further into the season.
Okay, we're at the Dubai Autodrome for this round 2, which is a track which is very popular. It invites contact, which I love, you hate, because it means you have more work to do. But one of the arch exponents of this track is the 3-time gold class winner, Alif Hamilton. And I believe you've dug out one of his laps from last season when he raced, and maybe you can talk him and us through it.
Let's have a look.
Marwin 563.
Yeah, come on! Woo! That's right! Woo!
Within the sounds of silence. Apologies for that. We'll get the audio sorted out next time. But Alif, I promise you, he was making a lot of noise, and you could see the little fist pump at the end. He was well happy. We'll go try and get another flying lap. I think we've got a better audio version of our old pal Miko Nasi, who is racing pretty well so far this season. So fingers crossed, everybody. Here's Miko Nasi with the flying lap around the Dubai Autodrome.
Alright, welcome to the Dubai Autodrome. I'll be taking you around for a lap here. I'll do my best to keep it on the track. So starting with the start-finish straight here, one of the rare opportunities to have a proper breather and also use your DRS and push to pass if you have them. We start going downhill for turn 1 here, braking around the 100 meter board and turning early enough to try to get some of the curb on the inside, shorten the track. Bit of curb there on the left-hander as well, and very important to turn nice and early here for the double right. If you don't, you end up really struggling and understeering wide. Barely firm on the brakes there. And pay attention here because the corner seems to tighten forever. And then we get a little bit of an easy corner, and then again a really tricky entry into the very, very important turn 9 because you've got a really long straight coming up. Probably one of the best overtaking places as well. Get a good exit from there and then DRS past the other guy on the straight. Looking for the 100 meter board or just before here. Very tricky corner again, especially with all the power we have in these cars. Left-hander here, it's easy not to remember that it opens up a lot on the exit, sorry. Easy to lose a lot of time there being too careful in the power. And super difficult corner here on the exit because you've got a bit of a crash just when you want to get on the power. Car goes light and the rears light up super easily. And coming up to the final sector here. Braking around the 50 meter board and then patiently letting the car turn in. And just breathing off the throttle a tiny bit for the penultimate corner. And third gear for the final corner. You can use second gear as well, but then you risk spinning out more than I was just about to spin out there. So, super difficult to control the car on those exits. And it's going to make for a tough 40-minute race. Thanks for watching my lap. Enjoy the race.
Ever the showman Miko Nasi, he gave us a deliberate whittle just at the end, but he'll be in the gold class coming up on our screens around about 4 o'clock. We are, though, with the silver class, and Philippines are always well represented. Gav Quintos, who earned his moniker of the bad boy last year, Alex, contender?
Depends which Gav Quintos comes. He can be very, very quick. He's actually really, really experienced. But he sometimes the Gav Quintos that turns up, not only is he getting into crashes, he can be a bit slow as well.
Case in point there. Exactly. We've timed this one absolutely perfectly. Alexis Clapano is another from the Philippines who is maybe worth keeping an eye on, but obviously the man who utterly dominated events on round 1, really set himself up as a man in form. Haris Zefi from Malaysia, and lapping pretty quickly at the moment. 4th fastest, actually 2nd fastest in practice before the qualification.
Yeah. So yeah, he'll be a factor for sure, like you mentioned. This Jun Cheng though from Malaysia, that's a really quick lap time, 57.2. But again, this is practice. A lot of these drivers will just be doing long runs, watching for tire wear. Oh, another thing I needed to tell you, Des, which I haven't let you know, is we've gone up on tyre wear. Tyre wear for this race is ×3.
Okay.
So in the driver's briefing yesterday, we decided that we're going to go up on tyre wear to make it a bit more exciting.
Plus a potential pit stop as well, so a different mentality for these guys.
Exactly.
Completely.
So with tyre wear ×3, they try to, normally if tyre wear's ×1 or ×2, they'll try and do the whole race with no pit stops or 1 pit stops, because pit stops are not mandatory here. But it's full damage. So if you run out of tire, you will get a puncture. So now it's going to ×3. Everyone's definitely going to have to do a pit stop. Some are going to have to do 2 pit stops for sure.
Absolutely superb. Do like the intricacies that are coming into it. One of the things about Dubai, on the flying lap with Miko Nassi, there's no sight lines for the drivers to take. Obviously, you look at the track, but surely you need some sight lines, some markers as you come into key corners on where your braking point is.
So you're right, because it's so wide and the access road is so big, to get to the sight markers, you got to look really far off. So sometimes you try and look at the edge of the track, look for any slight differences or the curbing, and try and use that as braking markers. But that's also difficult, because when you're following someone and he's filling your entire view, then you're like, okay, where's the braking markers? And you look off to the side. It's a bit more tricky, but the drivers will figure it out.
Troy Iman there as we just come into the last 10 seconds or so of practice. This Dubai Autodrome is miles out into the desert. I know Dubai from 20 years ago. Yeah. It literally was desert. Now it's still quite a way out into the sticks at the moment, though the population is getting there slowly but surely. Let's see how the drivers cope with it. Haris Zephy is obviously the man I think that we want to focus on. We're on board with Troy Iman at the moment, a teenager who's got a lot of talent. Is he good enough? Let's get a start from you, Troy, as qualification has started. 5 minutes worth of qualification, Alex.
Yeah, so he's in the McLaren, one of the few drivers in the McLaren. Again, this championship is a bit like GT3 and GT4. Oh, sorry, no, is he in the BMW?
That's a BMW, isn't it?
Yeah, I'm a bit confused. So he's in the BMW. Okay, so most people prefer the BMWs. Again, now coming down on turn 1, braking at the 100-meter marker. Can use a bit more curb on the entry to that corner. Decides not to. Now through turns 2 and 3. Small lift in the middle here. I could see when we watched Ali slap him, he was having small lifts through there. Ali's pole lap here was really special from the last season 1, wasn't it? Now through this right hand, running a bit wide there, but that's okay as long as he gets to the apex, on the throttle nice and early. Yes, that's good, looking good through there. Now turn 9, this long left-hander. It's the most important corner on this track, because you're in it for so long, so you've got to carry the minimums up, but you also need to get a good exit, because it leads down this massive long straight. You can have a cup of coffee, you can have a cup of tea as you're going down this long straight, and needless to say, lots of overtaking opportunities, because it's a hairpin right at the end of it. Oh look, the braking markers are right next to the track now, so a lot easier to see. Just get the car turned, get on the throttle, stomp on the loud pedal, and then small lift through here, turn 11. See quite a few drivers getting it sideways in the exit there and spinning to the inside. I've done it before in A1GP because it does off camber at the exit. Now this corner, another hairpin, lots of long hairpins at this track, which leads onto another long backish kind of straight. Roy is purple in sector 1, purple in sector 2 as well, but that could just be because he's the first one out there. Lap's not looked too bad actually, so I think it's a good enough lap for top 10 for sure. Oh, nicely done. Just carried the right amount of speed through there onto the apex nicely. Now on the penultimate corner. Now one more corner to go. Don't overcook it through here, because you need to get a good exit, because it leads down the start finish straight, which is plenty long as well.
Ooh, half a second down.
Oh, now half second down. Someone's gone quicker, and he's going across the line. This is not going to be good enough for pole position. And yes, there we go. Troy Iman in 5th position right now. Haris Zephy though goes quickest, and Clapano from nowhere goes quickest as well.
Alexis Clapano has indeed put in a very, very fast time. 157.06. Haris Zephy, 2nd place at the moment. And for India, Amitesh Neogi, who's in form, continues to impress. He's in P3, but he's got another lap out there at the moment, Alex. Let's just stick with Amitesh.
Yes, superb. Same car livery as Troy Iman's using. Oh, he's getting right down there. Hope that doesn't mess up his exit. Looks okay. Let's see what the sector 1 brings, because Amitesh, he's only if he can find
6 cents down.
Oh no, that's it. He's blown it. I was just going to say he's only a 10th down, and if he can find the time, that'd be good enough to get him to pole position. Let's go with the Mercedes, shall we? We love the livery of this car, chrome. Harris Effie, he needs to find 1400s. If he can find, just find a 10th, mate, and that'll put you in pole position. Now, as he comes through this corner here, see what goes through turn 9. Sector 1 will be coming up at the end of this corner. Down this long finish straight, we'll get to Sector 1. This is an important sector for him. Let's see, Alexis Clapano. Clapano's not even bothering to start another lap. So that's it. He's not going to go any faster. Oh! Zeffy, 3/10 down.
Well, that means that he won't be on pole, so he might lose a point. That's his first drop point of the season if he doesn't make pole. A minute left in qualification. He might finish this lap and have time for one more lap, though. Probably will. 1:13. It's going to be tight, but he has got time for one more lap, I think, Alex.
I don't think... Yeah, he'll be able to finish this lap. But let's see what the second sector... Maybe the second sector is a bit special. Maybe he can find something... Oh, no. Very 4/10 down again.
That just shows you what a good lap it was originally from Alexis Clapano, who is quick, who is a little bit reckless sometimes, but is certainly quick, and at the moment is leading Haris Zeffy in qualification. 30 seconds to go for Haris Zeffy. Chang Ung is in third place, Kelvinder Singh fourth, Amitesh Nyogi currently holding the second row of the grid. Jun Chang Ung goes onto pole position. He's put in a fast lap to get ahead of Alexis Clapano, and it's a very fast lap. He's 1/10 quicker than Alexis Clapano, Jun. And that's his first pole.
Really, really special to see that from Jun Cheng. Awesome to see that. He's been knocking on the door of finishing on the podium, let alone getting on for a chance for a win or pole position. From nowhere, what a superb job. Super happy to see that from him.
So Jun Cheng will be the man who is on pole as the drivers in the silver class just get the opportunity to sort themselves out. The garage is there. Very good performance once again from Haris Zeffy. He will be the man to beat. And even in a 5-round series, Alex, he's already setting the agenda. He's setting the right marks. We are on the grid. 30 seconds for the drivers to sort themselves out. 27 guys went into the qualification process. 27 guys will be on the grid. That means there's a lot of opportunity for contact and a lot of opportunity for Amo Hazik to make his comments. Amo, welcome to the commentary box.
Thanks, Alex. Thanks for welcome. Yeah, looking forward to this one. This might be a really interesting race in terms of strategy because we got a really high tie where ×3, as I heard from Alex. So, yeah. Plenty of action along the way in terms of pit stops too.
Okay, we are just about ready to go. Let's get on board with Zuriel Sumadabilia as the red lights wait to go off. Zuriel is on the 4th row of the grid. He's got off to a great start. Zuriel Sumadabilia up at the front. Haris Zeffy has also got off to a bit of a flyer. And there is Haris Zeffy in the silver Mercedes leading the way. Haris Zeffy. Jun Chang Ung is in 2nd place, but Haris Zeffy, having failed to get pole ammo, has made amends with it on that first corner.
He's got a good jump there on Jun Cheng Eng. It's still early doors, you know. It's started to start the race, but he has gotten the track position ahead of Jun Cheng Eng, who actually proves an absolute blinder out of nowhere to take pole position. Nyogi still holds on to 3rd as Kelvin Singh is under pressure from Choi Aman coming into the end of the 1st sector.
Yeah, that was Choi Aman just trying to nip through, but Haris Zeffy stung a little bit by the fact he was knocked off by Jun Cheng Ung into P2. But credit to Jun Cheng, having been beaten off the line, he's trying to make a move on the inside early on. It's a 40-minute race, guys. So there's plenty of opportunity, but last week we saw Haris get away very quickly, Amo.
Yep, he got away from it quickly and he never looked back. So, apart from a few scares where there were Filipino drivers who actually were in front of him that didn't do a pit stop, luckily this time I don't think there will be a no-stopping race. So, everyone will be cycling through the pit stops. If he keeps the lead ahead of these guys, he could be ahead of them by the end of the pit stop if he can keep out the pace.
Slight little procession now. We started on board Zuriel Sumadabilia. He got off to a good start, but he's been dropped down to 13th place at the moment. Once you get into the midfield traffic, Ammo, it can be very difficult because there's smoke in the air, there's people getting in the way, and it's not as easy as being at the front, is it?
No, not at all. In fact, we saw it like in the earlier races in the gold and copper class. You can be well ahead of the driver right behind you, but it could come up snapping at your heels if you're too off the pace. So right now, with the tyre weight being like this as well, they also have to put that into the back of their heads.
Let's go back up to the front where Haris Zephi has established a half-second lead over Juncheng Ung. Amitesh Nyogi is still in there. Amitesh from India. We're seeing his improvement race after race after race, Amo.
Indeed, and in fact, that one of the only Indian drivers who's in all the classes at all, actually. So he's doing his country proud to be right up here at the front in a very competitive series.
At the moment, no real changes, but Tony Fock is a guy that we thought might do pretty well. But Tony, 21st place. He hasn't had a good qualification, and Hello Kitty is not purring.
I say, oh, someone spins into the infield there. That's a BMW. Don't know whose is it. It could be Mark Darwin because Darwin's falling through, and it is. Darwin has fallen well back into 24th position. So it might have been a mistake on his own. That is a disastrous start to the race for Darwin after such a promising outing last time out in Shanghai.
And look who's alongside him. That's Voltaire Seiko, who's another who had a pretty good outing last time. And that one is Mark Dondakambe.
Oh, and Dondakambe nearly took out Asuka Langley. So Asuka managed to get through that unharmed. Somehow managed to get around Marv, who was spinning right in her direction. But unfortunately, he also got into the way of other drivers as battle for the lead. Jun Cheng-en takes the lead away from Harry Zephi, so Zephi now has a final in his hands.
Wow, he certainly does. I don't think we anticipated that. We're on board here with Harris Zephi, and there's a little furrowed brow there for Harris. We're only on lap number 2, and Jun Cheng-en, I think, has shown everybody that his flying lap was no fluke, that he's actually in the form of his life, and that his BMW is here, and he's looking to win it.
Wow, indeed. And the fact that it goes to show how much of a how good of a car the BMW is at the circuit. But having said that, he ran a bit wide then, opening the door slightly for Zephi. His tire is going on the inside, but he closed the door, so Zephi has to concede that battle for now. But it's looking good here in the front. A top 4 just covered within just a second.
Yeah, top 4. At the back of that top 4, you've got Kelvin De Singh, who's been able to hang on there quite nicely. That's he's in the Callaway car, and what does he want to? He's right on the tail there of Amitesh, Haris Zephi and Jun Cheng. Again, Kelvin, there's another one who we've seen up the top of the leaderboards without converting his positions into points over the years, over the seasons.
No, not really. And the fact that he's just there or thereabout, he's always a really fast driver on the sharp end of the grid in terms of sim racing competition, but his true sim racing game is iRacing, and he dominates series there. So right here, right now, he's showing really good form here to stay within that top 3, who are not getting away from each other.
Good inside knowledge there from Mamo Hazik. It's why you get the big bucks. Gav Kintos, he always provides a little bit of entertainment, but he's struggling just a little bit at the moment. Way down in P13, in fact P17 for Gav Kintos. What's gone wrong there? Amitesh Nyogi has dropped right the way down. Kelvinda, Klapano and Mark Voltaire Elman have gone past, and Troy Iman is trying to come past as well, and that's a problem for Amitesh Nyogi.
I think it might have been just a slight spin, because we saw that way too many times in the other classes. Whoa, there's a BMW on the inside. Looks like Triple L trying to go through on the inside of Troy Iman and Ariazmi. But they managed to actually keep it together as Kalpano makes his beeline away from these guys. There's Voltaire. He is in the Mercedes.
Arif Azmi it is. It's one of your countrymen, Arif, who's barged his way through into the top 4, trying to get into 5. Troy Iman's followed him through, and poor old Amitesh Nyogi. Amitesh was in P3 and has now dropped right the way down to P8, Amo.
Wow, yeah, and he got absolutely mugged there. So one mistake, and that's enough for you to lose everything. And I know that personally firsthand, because I lost a position at the last corner here during the first season. So yeah, with a GT3 field this close and the drivers being this fast, it could easily be more than 2 positions you lose if you were to spin.
Okay, a little bit further down, P9, Tunku Ezanle. I've always liked Ezan. He's a drifter, and sometimes he brings that skill onto the circuit. Not particularly quick, but here he is in just a little procession. That's P5 that is in his sights for Tunku.
And also the fact he's also a commentator, so he might be commentating while racing if he was to be streaming. That's Nyogi spinning, I think. That's Nyogi out of the reckoning for the top 10. A disaster for the Indian. He was right up there in the top 3. Now he's sent all the way to the back of the midfield.
And poor old Tunku Ezenley has lost some ground there as well. Justin Hungan, Troy Iman went past him. Summer Debelia has gone past. I'm just seeing where Amitesh Nyogi is. He's right the way down in P19 now, Amitesh. That is a disastrous lap for the Indian.
Wow, this race, it wasn't orange at first. It was completely round. Now it's going completely pear-shaped. This has not gone absolutely well for him. He will just try to regroup together right now, and probably by halfway point the race, which is about 20 minutes, he'll try or even try to pit earlier, because this is not going well for him. He's right in this gaggle of cars that could easily cost him more time to actually finish in the top 10.
Dave Smart has received a stop-go penalty. He's way down the track. At the very tail end is Wei Xiong. Wei Xiong struggling a little bit at this last, right at the opposite end though. Jun Chang-ung is beginning to pull away from Haris Zefi. It's over a second clear for Chang-ung.
Indeed, and the fact that this is really looking promising for Jun Chang, we haven't had the stops yet, and we don't know how many stops they'll do, because did a bit of running myself for this track to see how many laps you can do, and apparently you can go at max 10 to 12 laps on this wear, so it could easily be 2 stops if these guys were pushing it.
Talk to me about the circuit itself. Alex was saying that sight lines can sometimes be a little bit awkward simply because the track, as you can see from that shot, is so wide. Does it impact you when you're driving it, Amo?
Yes, indeed, actually, because you can't actually see sometimes the braking markers. You can see it right here from the shot, but if you're driving here and there's a brow, you don't see it until the very last minute. And the fact that there's no particular braking markers you can use, because there's a lot of fences, a lot of light posts here, in fact a lot of buildings that come up, so it's not easy to look for a braking point here. You just have to look out for the braking markers and try to brake as soon as you see them. And the fact that some of these corners, they don't even have braking markers, you have to feel the car and try to turn it when the rear starts to step out.
The front four have been able to force themselves quite a way clear. They're 6 seconds clear of this little battle that we're on board with now for P6 between Malaysia's teenager Arif Azmi and Mark Volter Elman. Behind them you've got Troy Iman and Justin Ung. So there's Troy Iman actually closed in on Mark Volter and Arif Azmi. So it's a 3-way battle for P5. Again, let's just see a little Hong Kong scrap there. You've got Triple L, Leon Leo Leung and Tony Fock closing him. Now, Tony, to his credit, we saw him a little while ago and he was down in the 20s. He's got himself up into a point-scoring position in P15, Ammo.
Yep, indeed. And the fact that that midfield is almost like a black hole, because if you're stuck in there, it's gonna take you a long while to get out, because everyone's trying to find positions and scrap at you for every possible place that you can find on the road. So for both of them at least, to get up into the point standings and now to be clear of that black hole is a good credit to them to get points today.
Azuka Langley has just lost a place there to Voltaire Seiko. This is right down in the nether regions, but Azuka looking very flash in the Porsche, but not very quick. Doesn't seem to have the requisite speed, although look at the damage there on Voltaire Seiko on the front of his BMW.
Oh. Yeah, the radiator might be compromised and that he might lose speed. In fact, Asuka might actually just take her chances here to get 21st away from him. And she's been doing a lot of training for this race. In fact, encountered her in the survey as, oh, there's a BMW spinning around. That might just be, yet again, Amitesh Nyogi.
You know it is. You know it is. Amitesh, I think he's taking a waltzer out onto the circuit today, because this is 4 times that he's spun out, and he's spun from P3 up to P25. Sorry, Amitesh, your day is not going to be a successful
one. Another spinner. There's a McLaren there that could... I'm not sure.
Smart, Mohammed Khalif.
Khalif, yeah. But,
back of the front. How about this lead? 2.5 seconds. 2.5 seconds for Jun Chung-ung.
And that's an early advantage that he might use to his advantage, especially given that the stops are coming up soon. Not sure how to maybe run the 20-minute mark, maybe earlier than that. But that pocket of 2 seconds that he has, and if he gets a good in-lap against Zefi right behind him, he could well and truly get a bigger gap by the time they cycle out the stops.
Well, Kelvinder Singh has got a bit of slipstream on Haris Zefi, just moves on the inside, and Kelvinder Singh is going to just waltz his way through into P2. That's good from Kelvinder. Harris might have a look on the inside, but Kelvinder Singh holds on, and it's unlike Haris Zefi to be going backwards, and he's immediately under pressure, Harris, from Alexis Tlapano as well. Great run from Kelvinder.
Absolutely, and I'm not seeing him drive this well in this sim, at least for a long time, but I remember last time, I think he was still in the Corvette that time during the first season of the Global Edition. He drove well here, so this track and this car combination, the Callaway Corvette, is really comfortable for him. So for him to be running up here might be no surprise after all. But right now, the big talking point here is Zeffy falling further behind, and he's not gonna shake off this guy anytime soon, because Clapano, especially in the BMW as well, he's absolutely fast too. So Zeffy's not in really good company, in his opinion.
Well, this front four really are pulling away, and Jin Chang Ung is pulling away from the other three. There's the great shot of the four in the lead, and you were waiting. There, coming round in P5 is Arif Azmi and Troy Ayman, and they're just dropping Mark Voltaire, Elman and Azuriel Sumadebilia. So there's two groups of four up at the front. Justin Hung is in he makes it a group of five, actually. Justin Hung has got Azuriel Sumadebilia in his sights. So when do you begin to think of the pit stops? Too early at the moment, because we're only on lap number 7 as Hung tries to look around the outside of Sumadebilia. But when are you thinking of these pit stops, Samo?
About 10 to 12 laps, there's, because based on my running at least, and I've seen, as I mentioned earlier, about Asuka doing some laps here. I saw her, she could do about 15 laps in the Porsche, but that might have been because of the fact she was using 2 times tire wear. So it could be between that, or it could be between 10 to 15. So about lap 10 to 15, about the 20-minute mark, that's when people will start to think about doing the pit stops.
There is the aforementioned Azuka. Dave Smart is having a miserable time of it. He's in P27. Jamil Lacuna, I fear his race is run. The Filipino Wei Siong also way down, and Amish Niogi. One last look at Amitesh. Sorry, pal. We love to see you up at the front. Maybe tries to get inside Marv Dondekembe just to try to claw his way back. Maybe a top 15 place is possible for Amitesh, but he's given us some entertainment no matter what. Up at the front, Haris Zeffy drops to P4.
Actually, he went up to third for a second. He actually defended on the inside, I think, from Clapano, but Clapano had the line on the outside, and now Clapano takes third away from Zeffy. So now a good first stint for the Mercedes man, who is actually leading the championship coming into this race by a healthy margin. So right now, he's not in any danger from losing that championship lead. But this has not been a good race for him by his standards.
Certainly hasn't. Alexis Lapano is the man we're on board with. Bottom right, lots of concentration there. Haven't seen him blink for a while. There you go, that's better. I'll prefer to see them blink. It means that the brain is working.
Yep, indeed. And, well, I said before in previous commentaries that sometimes when you're so focused, you don't really blink. And real race car drivers, and indeed MotoGP riders, at the top of their form, they only blink once per lap. So it kind of rings true here. If you really focus, you don't really blink.
That really can't be healthy. It really cannot be healthy. Right, further down, Gav Quintos has made his way into the top 10. Like Gav Quintos, not so sure about the colour of the car, the pink, but he's driving pretty well, although he will feel the pressure pretty soon from Darren Ivan. In fact, there is Darren Ivan, and Dan Martin is also on the shoulder of Gav Quintos. He's in the Mercedes. Again, Dubai is looking splendid.
And this is the real pink Mercedes, unlike the Force India that has been, the Racing Point that has been accused of being a pink Mercedes this year. But this is the real life one. Same sponsors as well as the Racing Point that runs in Formula 1 with a Mercedes S car this year. Yeah, looking very well in the top 10. Now, he's just pulling away here from Darren Ivan slightly, but Darren Ivan in the McLaren looking very competitive. Yes. Oh, look at that. He just lost it. He touched the curb a bit. Now that might put Darren Ivan right in play. He's right behind him here.
It puts two of them in play. Gav Quintos has got to defend left and right. Who's that going outside? And Dan Martin it is. Dan Martin has got ahead of Gav Quintos. Darren Ivan is alongside. Quintos barges his way through, leaves the braking too late and loses certainly one. Lots of contact there from Gav. Television coverage bringing on the pressure for bad boy Gav Quintos.
Indeed, and the fact that was quite a sneaky maneuver in the inside, coming to a choke point where that hairpin is not on. Unless you really have the line on the inside of the driver, you have to resort to late braking, and that's what he did. And unfortunately, Dan Martin just got the better of it. And now Darren Ivan tries to do the same thing. He tried to look on the inside, but no. Gav Quintos holds the line very well, but that was really nip and tuck racing between all three of them.
We are in Dubai. We are 16 minutes gone. Silver edition. The man with a 2.2 second lead may just be beginning to think, okay, I've got this lead. How do I maximize the advantage? Do I stay out on these tires, or do I change quickly? How do I dictate what's going on here? Kalvinda Singh is in P2. Alexis Lapano in P3. Haris Zeffy losing ground. Amo Hazik in P4.
and losing ground by a lot here, actually. He might be just conserving his tires. It would be crazy to do a no-stop. Knowing him, he might just try doing that, but with ×3 tire wear and the fact that the forces on the tires laterally going left and right in the circuit are detrimental to them, he might not be thinking to do so. He's just not had the pace today at all.
You're thinking a no-stop. Okay, that's a big call. We'll keep a close eye on that. As you say, he's got that kind of character who would do that kind of outrageous thing. At the front, though, it's Jun Cheng. Mind you, Clapano is closing in on Kelvinder Singh. Kelvinder, he has the right line, though, and Kelvinder is driving better than I have seen Kelvinder drive on the race room platform.
Yeah, indeed. And he's doing a world of good for the Corvette brand here. In fact, this car, outside of, say, the German AIG Championship, you don't see it anywhere else. We don't see this car compete against contemporary GT3 cars. So it's an unknown quantity, but what's known right now, he's just putting an absolute blinder of a performance to be up in second here. And Dubai seems to be his favorite track.
Sits beautifully on the room. Looks like a stealth bomber, doesn't it? It's so hidden on the tarmac. Gorgeous. But he's 2.5 seconds down on Jun Cheng-ung. Leads Alexis Clapano. Haris Zeffy is still in touch. As into the pits goes Alexis Clapano.
Oh.
Clapano first one to make that move.
And he thought twice about not doing a no stopper like last time. So Clapano the first of the stoppers. This might be interesting to keep watch now, where he comes out in relation to the other drivers on the rest of the field. As this is an early stop. He's well before halfway. He's going to have a bit worse tires coming the end of it. So a bit tricky one. He's trying to do the undercut, which normally you would do in a high tire wear race.
Well, it's meant that the likes of Arif Azmi, Justin Hung and Zuriel Sumadabilia and Troy Iman are all able to go past. Troy Iman is in P7th. He's a little bit down. Dan Martin, Gav Kintos, Triple L. They now move into the top 11. Triple L just trying to get on the tail end there of Gav Kintos as they go out into the countryside. Or into the desert. There's no countryside in Dubai. What are you talking about? Triple L will love the open spaces, but he hasn't quite been able to convert his bronze title into silver points yet.
No, he hasn't. And in fact, this is a bit of his depth, to be honest, because he is a touring car specialist. He drives touring cars in real life, if I'm not mistaken. So GT3 car may just be a bit out of his skill set, but he's not doing too badly, being up there in the middle of the top 15 as that's Clapano out of stops. A very gingerly exit, shall I say, or is that a problem? That might just be a problem. That might have been a botched stop for Alexis Clapano. He's gone way back here in 22nd. That's a disaster. No, look at that. The bonnet's gone. So he might have had a spin somewhere, and the car is completely damaged. So that's his race gone. Look at that. The front bonnet's gone, and we can see the engine.
Well, Alexis Clapano, he took the early pit stop, but clearly he's been clobbered on his way out of the pits because we saw Marv Dondekembe, Amitesh Niogi, Gilbert Ang and Mark Darwin all go past him. They're good graphics, I tell you, and that cannot be a comfortable drive as he goes through the smoke as well. He's just going to have to limp home and make another pit stop, Ammo. Is that how it works?
No, he just had to limp on because you cannot fix physically to put a new hood onto the car. So if he was driving in the window view where you can see, the hood view, he can see his whole engine. So that's not a comforting sight, and he's gonna have to trundle along trundle along all the way to the finish.
Okay, at the lead, Justin Hung is the man who is in the lead. Sorry, as we wave goodbye to Alexis. We're waving goodbye to quite a few people today. Justin Hung is leading. Triple L is second. Haris Zeffy is in the pits.
And a lot
are in the pits.
So yeah, this is where around the golden time, which is about the 20-minute mark. So only one stop here. There's not going to be a two-stop, and certainly no stoppers in this race. So everyone in a lap exactly after Alexis Clapano. So Clapano blinked first, but unfortunately that strategy has not worked out. So no undercut for him this time, as we see the Hong Kong trio lead the way here when the drivers are doing stop, as Jun Cheng-ung comes out of pits well ahead of Zeffy.
That is quite a healthy lead for Jun Cheng-ung. Haris Zeffy, he is back out on the track, and he's just behind. Well, there you can see the shot of them. He's 2 corners behind, first and second corner. And he's got his tyres warmed up pretty quickly, Jun Cheng-ung. He had the lead going into it as Kintos gets a drive-through penalty. Are we surprised? as Jun Cheng-ung has a lead now of, would you believe, 7 seconds over Haris Zephy. He's in P5 as we speak. Haris Zephy in P6. Justin Ung is the man. Apologies to the people doing the graphics. Justin Ung is the man who is in the lead.
And reading the comments right now, Murasaki Tadashi, aka Ayman Hakim, he gave his insight on the hood situation. You can fix, but it takes 3 minutes to do so. So, unfortunately, that's have Capano's race well and truly done.
So that means we've got 3 casualties as Hung comes into the pits. So the race leader has Triple L stayed out there? Triple L has stayed out there. No, he hasn't. He's just dives into the pits at the last time. That means Tony Fock in Hello Kitty is the man who will...
No, he's coming in as well.
Come in as well. That means that Jun Cheng-ung will retake the lead.
And he's overtaking Mark Darwin on track as well. So Darwin actually will now cycle out of the pits, well behind the Hong Kong guys, and maybe well and truly out of the point scoring positions. As out of our side as well, Kelvin De Singh had an absolutely bad pit stop. He's 6 seconds behind Zephy, so I think he might have not requested a pit stop because this game has its own quirks, akin to how real life would be, because you have to request for a pit stop, then you come in. You can't just come in and expect your pit crew to be ready. So his virtual pit crew were not ready for him, and that cost him well over 5 seconds, and that second place on the road gone for him.
Great insider knowledge and a rookie mistake there from Kelvinder, and it certainly has cost him. He is in P3, but he was in P2 just before those pit stops all came together. Fascinating stuff going on. Wei Seong is still last of the 27 racers we've got there. With 27 racing, I really was expecting a lot more contact. It may well still come as Justin Hung gets a drive-through penalty. The one-time race leader moves out. Tony Fock. Now then, what can Tony do on the tail end of Mark Voltaire Elman? We'll just have a look at some of them, the mid-table races, the middle ground races. 16 minutes to go. That time soon evaporates, doesn't it, Amo?
Yeah, it does. In fact, we're almost now 24 minutes into a 40-minute race. That's just how quickly it does, even through the cycling pit stops. And, is that Fock being overtaken? Yes, he got overtaken by Leo Leong. Triple L managed to jump Triple L in the stops, but now Triple L gets back at him. Okay,
let's go back up to the busy end, to the business end, and Jun Cheng-ung. Single stop strategy. Yeah, there was talk that you might have to do 2, but if you do 2, you'll lose the race if you're Jun Cheng.
Yeah, indeed. And the fact that you might not want to try doing that now, you have to conserve. If I were him, I would just conserve the pace, because 5 seconds, and he's got the fastest lap of the race as well. So he's got nothing to worry about at the moment. The BMW here seems to be really on par with the course. He's not going to have to do any more histrionics. He just needs to drive it for the next 15.5 minutes to the line.
Let's catch up with a couple of the guys who've given us plenty of stories but are now struggling. Amitesh Neogi from India. He was 3rd. He went down to 23rd. He's now got himself up into P16. 7 seconds down on Voltaire Seiko and a rather squiff looking bonnet. But it's been an interesting drive from Amitesh Neogi and also Alexis Clapano. Let's see what view Alexis has got. Well, he's still got one of the engine and the pistons and all that goes on inside, which isn't the view that he wants.
That car looking absolutely second-handed right now. He might as well just consign it to the scrapyard after this.
Oh, your age group, you throw anything away. Plenty good, that car. Got hours, miles in it, up at the front. Definitely a good car. 6 seconds is a very, very healthy lead. Lap time, last lap was a 1:57.966. Wow, that's yeah, he's fast. He's lapping faster than everybody apart from Zoriel Sumadabilia at the moment. So Jun Cheng-ung really is making a statement.
Yep, indeed, and the fact that he actually set his fastest lap last time out, so he's not holding back. He just wants to actually drive home the advantage that he has over Zephy in second. But Zephy, likewise, wouldn't have the need to push, actually, because his championship rivals in this race right now, like Khalif and Seiko, are not even in the same airspace as him at the current moment. So right now, he just gets relax and stroke the car home and can maintain his championship advantage.
We welcome your comments on Facebook. Murasaki Tadashi, he endorses what Amo says. Technically, you can fix the hood, but it's 180 seconds fix. And James M. Go says, thanks. I'm talking about his previous race. Race 2 would have been better if he hadn't been spun out by somebody on turn 7 at lap number 1. Allegations flying thick and fast. We are with the Silver Edition category. This is your race leader. This is your championship leader. And it looks like he's going to stay at the top of the championship race with 13 seconds to go and a 7-second lead over third place Kelvin de Singamo, Hazik.
Yeah, indeed. And the fact that Calvin is not making any inroads to the gap that he lost in the pit stops due to quite simply a rookie mistake. And the fact that he probably didn't know the quirks of the game, being a guy who drives in so many sims, he might not just know that particular instance that you needed to request a pit stop so that you can make a pit stop in this game. But unfortunately, he has to settle in third, and with Arif Azmi right behind him, he might be closing in.
Zuriel Sumadebelia is behind Arif Azmi. That's Arif in the distance there, you can just see. He's in the right. Now Zuriel is another guy who we know can be fairly quick. You've just got to... Oh, he gets that one a little bit wrong. A little wag of the tail there from Zuriel Sumadebelia. And that just puts you off as you come into this little sequence of corners 2, 3 and 4.
Yeah, and given the fact that what you have in front is the driver that you need to change in terms of gaps. So a 10th loss in that particular instance could easily also be more than a second if you were to lose it completely. So yeah, Sumadebelia has time and the gap at his disadvantage. He just wants to actually either now finish the race or hopefully the guy behind just doesn't make any inroads towards him as well.
Our pal Amitesh is moving on the back there of Naufal Mohammed, and Amitesh is trying to get up into the point scoring. You can always guarantee he's going to do something here. Let's just stick with Amitesh for a little while as he loses. Naufal slow down penalty, track limits abuse, so that might help Amitesh. As Naufal takes that slow down, does he? Has he done it there?
No, but actually he can take it anywhere. In fact, there's a bit of a loophole that you can do. You can actually just slow the car a bit, and the timer will just go down all the way to the zeros. So you can actually just come up to a corner and just slow it. So it could easily be overturned. So it'll be no problem for Naufal.
That's called insider trading that you've just done there, Hamo Zeke. Naufal though is just holding on to Amitesh. This is P15. Justin Hung, a one-time in the lead, is back in P14. Voltaire Seiko in P13. No real change up at the top where Chung Ung is still able to hold on to a healthy 5-second lead. I love that long straight because it just shows you how much work Harris Effie has got to do. And I don't think Harris is really making a move on Jun Chang Ung, is he? He's just making sure that he keeps that 6 seconds between him and Kelvin de Singh.
Yep, and the fact that second place is more than enough for him to extend his lead by bigger than the Pacific Ocean, I guess, because it's just really, this race couldn't have gotten any better for him, besides losing pace to the guys in front initially. And whoa, is that a slide there? That was nearly his race coming to tears. He didn't really have to do that. He just has to keep the car pointing in the right direction to not do any crazy moves like that.
Well, it's the pressure of being on television, live television. Well, Facebook anyway. Hope you're enjoying it. Comments very, very welcome. There is Jun Chang-ung, 6th last week in Shanghai. He'll add a victory here, barring a real problem in the last 10 minutes or so. Again, just for clarification, Amo, no more pit stops expected, no?
No. Definitely not, because they all pitted at the halfway point, and we can see that the tires can at least last the halfway point. So if Alex wants to actually increase the tire and probably increase the starts, he can do that. But ×4 would be absolutely catastrophic for these drivers, especially those who have really poor tire preservation.
Let's have a look at Japan's Azuka. She's under a bit of pressure there from Mark Darwin. Malaysia versus Japan. It's the BMW versus the Porsche. Not many have gone for the Porsche. Does it not handle well on this circuit, or is it just a tricky car if you've got to maneuver it?
More towards the latter, Des, in fact, because the car's engine is more towards the rear and is rear-wheel drive. So if you were to overstep the mark and do the rears a lot, you're gonna have a very squirrely car by the end of your stint or by the end of the race. So the car can be quite fast in the right hands, and it is a good performing car, especially we see in the Nürburgring 24 hours. But unfortunately, with a high tire weight like this, the car is just basically sitting dives. We can see that Asuka's being dived on by Darwin. Does he make no mistake? Yes, he does. And Asuka thought twice about it, and she gave the space to Darwin. And yeah, unfortunately the Porsche is somehow faded here.
Mark Darwin gets himself up into P18. Our friend Amitesh is still in P16 and losing a bit of ground on a Naufel. Voltes Seiko, I think we expected to do a little bit better, but damage on the hood mean that he's just holding on for a minimum number of points. I think I'm right in saying you can drop 1 round of points even though it's only 5 rounds.
Yep.
So Voltaire, this may well be his duff week.
Yeah, he can just consign this to a footnote and say that, yep, better luck next time. This has not been an absolutely good round for any of the championship drivers in the championship who are in second and third. In fact, Khalif, who had a really good outing last time in Shanghai, by virtue of the fact that there was a catastrophic strategy called there by the Filipino drivers. He is now in 23rd, no point for this round, so he's gonna have to consign this one to a footnote as well.
Yeah, it's not been good for Mohammed Khalif. Well spotted up at the front. No change. Jun is still leading. Haris Zefi in P2. Kelvinder Singh in P3. It's 7 seconds, 7 seconds, 7 seconds. Arif Azmi is beginning to make a little bit of headway on Kelvinder, but he's 4.5 seconds down. But Arif needs to be careful because if you see Zoriel Sumadabilia just coming into shot, 7:45 to race. Yep. And Zoriel will look at Arif Azmi and think, I want your points, my young fella.
And what happened to Asuka there? She's dropping through the timetable. In fact, we can see her drop even further. Don't know what happened there. Oh, she's made a second stop. Oh, is she? No, she's out of the race. So that's a shame there. A sad end to the day for what looked promising at one point. She was just on the cuffs of the points. But I think way too many corner cuts or incident points, and she's out of it.
She is indeed. Amitesh Nyogi again tries to get closer. Let's have a look at Tanku Ezenley. He and Darren have been having a good little battle. These longer races, they're quite nice because it gives us a chance to focus on 1 or 2 of the races we normally wouldn't, particularly when the front 3 are so far clear. Tanku Ezen trying to put the pressure there on the back of Darren Ivan. It's just 0.5 of a second. That Malaysian flag on top is very distinctive, but Darren Ivan wants to get away from that Malaysian flag just as quickly as he can.
Yep, and it's representative of the actual racing team that races here, which unfortunately the name of the team escapes me at the moment, so apologies for that. But yeah, Ezan, if he were to be commentating, he'll be shouting right now because he is a very spirited commentator. Love his commentary, by the way. Sadly we can't hear him right now. He's right at the back of driver I know as well, because Darren Ivan is part of our Blue Steel Racing Academy, so he's doing his hopes quite good in the top 10.
Good little battle there as they come into the first 1, 2, 3 corners here at the Dubai Autodrome. 6 minutes 18. Let's go back up to the front. There still is no change. This is your leader, Jun Chang Ung. There is a driver just in front of him, but that's somebody he's about to be overtaking. Jun Chang Ung.
It's Capano.
Is it Clapano?
Yes,
poor old Alexis.
because he doesn't have the bonnet right now, so it's easy to pick out who he is driving with. That car looking very second-handed. I don't know why he's not stopped right now, because there's no point driving for points anyway. He's just well behind the rest of the field, and he's got Jun Cheng, who he was actually right behind at the start of the race. So that's how far he's fallen in this race.
Yeah, he was genuinely battling for P2 and P3. Tell you what though, he's not making it easy for Jun Cheng. Chung isn't easy. Isn't able to really get past him. But great graphics. There is Jun Cheng. Alexis is carrying on, but Jun Cheng will surely make his move now. Yeah, Alexis just moves over to one side, and Jun Cheng Young laps Alexis Clapano.
Good driving for Capano, aware that the leader's coming by, and overtakes him easily. So yeah, no histrionics there. Just moving on with business, and for him, he just wants to consign this race to a footnote. As I said before, it has not been an absolutely good run in this case. Haris
Zefi comfortable in P2. He was second fastest in qualification. He will, as you say, increase his lead in the overall championship standings. He had a perfect score in week number 1. Does he have the fastest lap here? You know what? I think he does. He's got a 1:26.4 as the fastest lap, so we could well be picking up 4 additional points to the 20 he looks likely to be taking in in week number 2, round number 2 of 5.
Yep, he's turning up the wick here, but too little, too late into trying to get the race win. But the small points that he gets, like for the fastest lap, could be crucial by the end of the season if he were to have a devastating weekend, which inevitably any of these drivers can have if they were to be off form.
There's 4 points, which can, as you say, just accumulate, because he had fastest lap last week, fastest lap this week at the moment. 8 points, yep, that's very handy to have in the tank. But Jun Chang-ung, 6th last week, looking to win his first race of any kind, I think, on eRGP.
Oh yeah, not sure about other platforms, but yeah, this will be his first win on the racing platform. As sorry, we're gonna have to mention to you later. I remember the team now is called Legacy Racing, so apologies to Akina and Leona for getting their team for a second. But yeah, that's the name of the team that he's driving with. Nice colors though.
Good lad, good recovery. 3 minutes late, but good recovery. Dan Martin makes his way through. Not being the most exciting race, which is a little bit unfortunate, but it has given us a chance just to go down now then. Amitesh has got himself past Nofel, and he's going to end up in the points. Amitesh, this has been a brave race by the Indian driver. P3 at one stage, damage on the car, down to P23 at worst. Probably going to end up behind Voltaire Seiko and pick up 2 points for P14.
Wow, Nyogi's having an odyssey here in the desert, to be honest. He's gone here, there, and everywhere. So 14th place and getting some points is a good return for given what he has gone through. But again, he's just one of those drivers who might just want to consign this race to a footnote and try to come back, rebound next time out.
Can we expect any shocks with the tyres? Are they wearing? Because it is ×3. Might it get a little bit tricky in these last couple of laps?
Yeah, it would. Actually, in fact, looking at the lap times now, Jun Chang doesn't seem to be affected by it. He did a 58.7, whereas Zeffy did a 59.3 as a car right behind disappeared for a second. Might have been like that's now fall in the pink Mercedes. Yeah, it's looking good for Jun Chang. He seems to be conserving tires, but at the same time, he can still push it. So it's a surprising thing, because normally you wouldn't want to push that hard, especially coming to the end of the stint and you have a big gap like this. So for him to be still pushing it slightly is a good sign that he's conserving his tires well.
One battle that we've really got in the top 10 is this one, Triple L, Leon Leo Young against Dan Martin as they come down this long straight. There's not close enough to get onto the slipstream. They're like they're on tracks there, Dan Martin and Triple L, and Martin is just able to hold on so long as he gets the right line into that corner. Looked like it gone just a little bit wide, but Triple L unable to capitalise. But Triple L this time is right under his wing.
Yeah, indeed. And the fact that Triple L was also right up there after when the stops were actually cycling through. In fact, Justin Hung would have been in this position had it not been for the drive-through penalty. So disaster for Hong Kong driver, as all three of them went a lap sooner than the others. So yeah, they tried the overcut. It nearly worked for 2 out of the 3, and now they're trying to recover some of the races as Danny Martin there gets his inside nicked by Triple L. Triple L gets it. Yes, he does. Brilliant maneuver from Triple L, and he's up to 7th, where just now it should be. So the strategy and on fresher tires pays off for the Hong Kong driver.
Yeah, Dan Martin got it just a little bit wrong, looking backwards to his right, and the Triple L nipped down into the middle. So 45 seconds to race. Jun Chang-ung in the black is the man who is not contested. The pink behind is not in the race. Who is the pink? Is that Gav Kintos?
I think Nofal.
Oh, Nofal, yeah, okay. So Nofal is down in P16. So all bar 15 racers have been lapped by the race leader, Jun Chang-ung. Haris Zeffy currently in P2. Kelvinder Singh in P3. Arif Azmi in P4. None of them really been able to get close enough, and neither has Zuriel Sumadebelia in 5, but Zuriel might find a bit of pressure on this last lap from Troy Iman. But it'll be a surprise, a real surprise, if there is any change up at the front.
The race has gone through a bit of a tepid point, shall we say, because everyone's just relaxing in the group because it's now coming out to the final lap. No big battles to note of, but in terms of the fastest laps, I was just looking through the timing sheets here. Apparently Colpano holds it still, and he's in the race, so not sure whether we have that kind of restriction in Formula 1 where you had to be in the points to score a fastest lap, but I think it's a free-for-all. It might just be Alexis Colpano who gets away here with the fastest lap. So Zeffy doesn't get the amount of points that he needs to chip away into the lead.
You are quite right. A 157.769. I don't think he does need to finish in the points. But Alexis Lopano, no bonnet at all as we come through to the finish line. And Jun Cheng-ung picks up his first ever victory in Race Room in eRacing GP. He picks up the victory. Haris Zeffy will come home in P2. And that's it'll increase his lead up at the top. Yeah, difficult day. P3, Kelvinder Singh. Good result for the Malaysian. Arif Azmi makes it another Malaysian, a 2-3-4 for Malaysia. Zoro Sumadabilia in 5. And Troy Iman makes it a really good day for Malaysia. 4 of the top 6. But the victory goes to this man, Jun Cheng-ung. 157.957 was his fastest lap. Alexis Lopano, I think, just edges him to the fastest lap. We'll get that confirmation in just a moment. But Haris Zeffy, 20 points for Haris, and the victory for Jun. And Alex Young is back in the analyst chair. And Haris, a really good job by Jun Cheng-ung. He got in front before the pit stops and never really looked like he was going to lose that lead.
Yeah, very, very impressed with him. I think he actually did win a race in the Causeway edition, the AM class. It might have been a reverse grid in the Pro race or something. But definitely not a race this big. You know, this is the silver class. It's a 40-minute race. It's a big, really, really quick field there. So this will be his biggest win with us for sure. So well done to the young man. And of course, Haris Zeffy didn't quite have the pace today, did he? But he got some really good points, second position, and it's looking good for him in the championship.
Yeah, we're still just waiting for confirmation. There it is. Cheng-ung Lopano. It was indeed great spot by Amo Hazik, who was in the commentary box, picking up Alexis Lopano for the fastest lap before he lost his bonnet. Zeffy second, Kelvinder on the podium, Azmi, Sumadabilia, Ayman, Triple L, Martin. Wow, look at that. Malaysia absolutely ruling the roost. Tunku Ezanlay, 7 of the top 9 from Malaysia. Ivan Rejian in 10th, Voltaire Elman, Justin Hung, Mark Darwin, Faiz Naufal and Gav Quintos in the points. Mohammed Khalif, who had such a good round 1, out of the points completely.
Wow. Okay. So, like you said, it was a bit of a slow burner, wasn't it? But yeah, still good racing, some really good driving there. Enjoyed that.
So, good work from Amo Hazik. He called it dead right. Just one stop from the races. Despite the tie, where you're going to have to bring in some rain or
I
bring
think
in
we have to bring it up to 4, I think, for the next race. But yeah, a bit of fun there.
Excellent. Okay, so after the break, we are going to be moving to the Gold Edition, where the championship lead is held by Nakib Aslan, who picked up victory last week. Let's see if he can repeat the dose at the Dubai Autodrome. We'll be back with the eRacing GP Global Edition Season 4 right after the break.
Things to be aware of organizing eRacing Championship without race room. First, no automated leaderboard would always be labor intensive. Elimination round would be the only way to filter the winners. Having the participants adhering to the schedule would be a huge test. We need to know the task will get bigger when participants increases. Time consuming. Organizing eRacing Championship without race room, it's all need run manually to take down the participants and eliminate them from first round group to final round group. Because it is manual human labor, there bound to be human error. Manual human labor would have a price tag for the man hours involved. New participants would never have chance. The eRacing clubs in the world will send their best racers to participate the race. But that means your championship exposure is just limited to the eRacing clubs. Why choose race room? R3E Official Championship have fully automated leaderboard. Participants can log in anytime to leave the fastest lap time within the qualifying period. Each of the racers already have their ranks with Race Room. Next, save time. You can have unlimited amounts of participants in a super short time to qualifying them to final race. Race Room can cover unlimited amount of participants. We have a full automated esports ecosystem from qualifying leaderboard to broadcast AI. Besides, Race Room's free contents lets everyone can participate to the race.